What's up, all y'all trickly bastards? Welcome back to It's 1700 Somewhere. And as always, I am. Who am I? Oh, yeah, I'm Athen.
Oh my god. I'm Cameron.
uh,
Jesus.
so, I'm a little. I ain't faded, I'm just not here yet. I'm
He's a
tired as
little
fuck.
tired.
Yeah.
He's a little tired. He started running swing shifts,
No, I
so
started running graveyard shift.
whatever. Same thing.
So, yeah. I
But
got
as always, it's great to be here with y'all and Athen to discuss today's topics.
today's topics.
Now,
We had quite a few this week, though, didn't we?
we had several very interesting ones. We're going to get into the oil, some dogs. We're going to get into the e-cigarette thing that we told y'all about last week. We're going to cover a little bit this week, and then he should be back. So either next week or the week following, we're actually going to have a guest speaker, Zach from Max and Zach's Vapor Shop. So I'm sure he'll be happy to get his information out there to y'all.
Nice, nice.
You
So,
know.
and we haven't really spoken much to the viewers about this. Like, tell me a little bit more about the viewer myself, because I don't really know. I mean, you've told me a little bit about him, but I don't know a whole lot.
So Zach runs a shop called Max and
Sure,
Zach.
he'll be happy to
Zach's
get his,
vapor shop. I know he's got one down here. He's got a couple others, but he is a lawyer. He's also going to be getting with Congress, the media. As soon as he gets back from his vacation, he's going to be talking more about the epidemic. I use that word very loosely. The epidemic of what's going on with people getting sick from using e-cigarettes, and we're actually going to cover a little bit about that today, and then he's going to come in and discuss more. So, I just happened to bump into him in his shop, and he was willing to do a show with us. So,
Well, that's awesome. That'll be nice.
Oh yeah, I just got to get back a hold of him.
It's good to have guests always. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you're watching all this stuff, we appreciate your support and everything. If you could go ahead and give us a react, make sure it's one of the colorful ones, not the blue ones. And share us. Share us to wherever you think you can or want to. Yeah. So moving on from there, Cameron.
Trump locked and loaded. So our first story comes to us after the Saudi attack. As it stands, they're not 100% certain as to who was responsible for the attack. However, the U.S. officials stated that the attack came from a direction that would indicate that Iran was behind the attack and that cruise missiles, not drones, were the likely cause. Iran has rejected the U.S. accusations. They then warned that the U.S. land and Navy forces were within range of their missiles and that the country was ready for war. The supply was attacked on September 14th. We're still waiting for the Saudi Arabia Kingdom to tell us who they believe caused the attack. Trump also states that he is ready to open the oil reserves available, and we'll go into that a little more in a second.
Oh, damn.
In order to, that's our first two stories today. The attack reduced production by 5.7 million barrels a day, which is a total of 5% affecting the world.
Okay. Damn. So we got what's going on in Israel with the election. Lunchbox, Shelly and Richie King from VRS, he wants to know if you're doing the roast today. Why am I lagging out like that so bad?
Am I doing the roast today?
Yeah, are you going to be on the roast? They're asking.
Sure, I'll come be on the roast. I don't care.
Sounds good. So,
I have no idea what I'm doing.
It's just talking a little bit of crap every now and then. You should be all right at it.
So, same thing we do every day. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, par for the course.
Why
am I lagging? Jesus.
Larry Bates' dad asked what's going on in Israel with the election. Athen, you mentioned the election going on, so I'm going to let you cover that one.
I did who?
You said something about the election going on in Israel.
I don't remember that. Did I mention that? When did I mention that?
You said the elections while I was talking about Saudi Arabia. You may have been fumbling over your words trying to get your system set up again like usual.
Oh, I was reading his comment. That's what it was. Sorry. Yeah. There's the elections going on in Israel. I don't know anything about the elections going on in Israel right now. I don't really follow too much political news, if I'm fully honest.
But moving on, we get into Trump has authorized the. Make sure you have material. What material, Josh? I'm just now finding out about this roast today, guys. I mean, what do you want from me?
Actually, I told you about it yesterday. If we're gonna
okay, whatever. But that's not a lot of time. I don't know Bulldog personally, so I don't know what is fair game. I don't know what we're doing. So you need to message me and tell me what's going on. But as I said earlier, I talked about Trump has authorized the release of the U.S. oil reserves, approximately 630 million barrels if needed to help stabilize the markets. The use of the oil reserves will depend on how quickly Saudi Arabia can return to full production. Originally established in the 1970s after the Arab oil embargo, the reserve has been used in 1991 after Desert Storm, 2005 after Hurricane Katrina, and 2011 after the Libyan supply disruptions. Until the damages have been assessed, we will not know if we have to dip into the reserves or not. But Trump does have the plan. It is in place to keep the market stable. We're not wanting to have, $6 a gallon gas prices. We're inching there, but I don't want to pay that.
We ain't that bad out here. I mean, you're in Texas, so you're not going to have bad gas prices at all. But, like, our gas out here, I think we're still right around $3 a gallon.
Annie, I've been asleep most of this week. I have no idea what's going on anywhere.
So
my internal clock said you need to go and hibernate, which tells me winter is coming.
Right. So what you're saying is you're a bear.
Pretty much.
Oh, you didn't catch that one, did you?
Oh no, I'm a bear.
No. That's a. Never mind.
I'm not that kind of bear.
Dude, a while back, shortly after there was that whole drama situation with Desiree and I had like dudes hitting on me all kinds, like left and right. Apparently, a guy with a beard is more of an attractor to guys than it is a woman. I guess that's what they were all telling me, because it makes them think that you're a bear. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, no, absolutely not. That's not me. I don't do that.
All right. So Josh says, since I don't know him, you're going to be on the show. Have fun.
If you don't know him or you don't watch T5, probably shouldn't come on the roast. Just saying.
So you're going to be on the show. Or you're going to be in the roast. Have fun.
All right. I guess that'll work. I'll buy me onesie.
Yep.
We got Dean Cerny checking in.
Steven, welcome to the show. I've been posting about it for several months now. Surprised you're just now seeing this. But moving on, we're talking about drug sniffing dogs. I know I talked about, or bomb sniffing dogs. I know I mentioned earlier we were going to talk about dogs. It's not the happy-go-lucky story you're going to want to hear, but it is important information. U.S. bomb sniffing dogs were sent to Jordan and have lost the will to work, and they've begun dying off because of how poorly they've been treated. So far, 12 of the dogs have died from medical issues. The report calls for the State Department to stop sending dogs to the United Kingdom until there is a plan that ensures the health and wellness is better cared for, as well as more welfare checks to ensure the safety of the dogs. However, according to the report, the department did not agree to cease until a plan is in place. Other dogs were shown to have been overworked or were living in unhealthy living situations with little to no sanitation. Some kennels even showed that they had deadly viruses present. The department has poured millions of dollars into the explosive detection canine program, but the program does not ensure the safety of the dogs.
So
The report then goes into detail stating the program lacks policies and standards governing the program. The program constantly provides dogs to foreign partners without signed agreements that outline any kind of standards. Officials visited the site in 2016 for an assessment and discovered the dogs were required to search large numbers of vehicles without proper shelter, sanitation, or care. The dogs observed were well beyond their working years and in need of medical help and were dying of heat exhaustion.
here's a question. So when it says there were deadly diseases found present in the thing, does it say anything about what kind of disease it was? Because like parvo could be one of those diseases it's talking about. Parvo is a type of disease that's like a spore type, so it can survive through a lot of different stuff. It can survive. It's designed to be able to survive, almost everything, and survive for a very long time. But parvo's only something that puppies that haven't been vaccinated for it typically can get. So could that be just like parvo was found, and it's like they're using that as kind of a buzzword type thing, if you will?
The article actually doesn't discuss what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It just says that they were present. They said, it says that there were multiples, but they didn't actually go into detail as to what the diseases present were.
Okay. So, and then Dean Cerny also said, "What if it's a drug bomb? Like it explodes and everybody gets stoned? Who's the party pooper who wants to like destroy that one wonderful masterpiece of, stuff?" Cameron probably would. Cameron's like, no one wants to get stoned.
If you get me started on explosions, we're going to be here all day, so we're just going to move on. Because I really want to get my hands on some thermite.
I could talk. Oh, thermite. I got to play around with some thermite once. That was pretty fun.
Our next story comes to us for the anniversary of 9/11 again. Brother of a firefighter that had passed away at Ground Zero has passed away himself at 55 due to cancer he contracted due to searching for his brother. New York Police Department Detective Joe Palio contracted a rare cancer while searching for his brother. Hundreds of police officers attended the detective's funeral, which included a helicopter flyover, which is the highest honor for an officer killed in the line of duty. When Joe discovered his brother was missing, he continued to dig for over a month with hopes to find him. Finally, on October 8th, John Palio's body was found. Joe later started a scholarship fund in John's name. Joe was later diagnosed with urethral cancer. His doctors accredited to his time at Ground Zero. His doctors said that this is something commonly found in the Middle East, then it would be here. Joe had endured months of chemo, but it did not stop the cancer from spreading. In July, he had his urethra, bladder, and prostate removed. Weeks later, scans showed the cancer had spread to his lungs, liver, and abdomen. After a few days, scans then showed that it had spread even more. It was quoted that even if Joe would have known the outcome, he would still not stop searching for his brother. Fair winds and following seas, detective.
Fair winds following seas. Was that your input or was that from the article?
That was me.
Oh, okay. So,
Ding and I fully agree. There was a case, I talked about it on one of the shows, how they had gone, one of the celebrities had gone before the Congress and was discussing that what they were doing was not nearly enough for the people at Ground Zero, for all the first responders, and that it was just appalling for the health care that they were receiving was so little.
So, I'm going to go to the comments real quick. So, first of all, we got my grandma checking in. She's watched. She says, "Hi, everyone. Nice seeing you." And then regarding the dog story, Dean Cerny said, "Why are we paying for these animals, training these animals, paying to send them over, and these jerk-offs don't care for the dogs?"
I'm sure it has something to do with maintaining foreign relations.
Yeah.
Should we continue to provide animals for them? No.
But are we going to?
Yes, we're 100% going to.
Oh.
If they're not going to, it's like letting your buddy borrow a tool and then you get it back and it's beat to hell or rusted. And it's like, why would I ever want to let you continue to use this stuff? If you're not going to treat my toys right, why am I going to let you borrow my toys?
Exactly. But we're in the business of community relations, so that's whatever. But and then Dean Cerny also mentioned going on to the story we're talking about the police officer that was searching for his brother. He said the government owes these guys more than they're getting, and he said should send Al Qaeda the bill. And and Chris Cornell, that's the Blue Falcon from the bar. But the regarding what Dean Cerny was saying, the government owes these guys more than what they're getting. I fully agree. And it's really, really disappointing and sad that they're not getting as much as what they should. I mean, like, yeah,
if you follow our other pages at 1700 and Ill Trained Fighters, I share stories about this all the time. One of the photos has a U.S. veteran and a first responder. Both of them are failing in health. In fact, I shared one that had a Marine veteran that was in a nursing home, and the conditions were so bad he was covered in ants, and he died in the hospital.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, they don't. The government does not give enough care to the people that sacrifice their bodies for the rest of the population, and it's only going to get worse with how things are going politically.
But that's kind of, I don't know, part of, I don't know. My brain isn't 100% where it needs to be to even try to say what my brain was trying to think I want to say. And then Dean Cerny said we should send Al Qaeda the bill. I mean, dude, yeah, I totally
can, but they're not going to pay it.
They're not going to pay. What are we going to do? Send them collections? Oh yeah, we did that when we dropped bombs on them. So yeah.
True. A few more bombs won't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few.
But that's just giving them more money.
Yeah, that they have to spend.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
If we turn everything into glass parking lot,
Yeah, just nuke the bitch.
Screw it. We've been acting like Big Brother for years.
Right.
If you don't beat up on your little brother every now and again, is he really your little brother?
That's a good point. But given I'm gonna kind of loop that around to a real world situation. So, in my household, we've got I've got the two boys, Tristan and Michael. And the thing is, what tends to happen the most is the younger brother beats up on the older brother.
Really? Because my brother is 7 years older than I am, and he used to whoop my ass.
And the funny thing is, the younger brother is the crippled one.
Wow. Get him.
Yeah. So then we take their shit, call it a repossession. Well, we may as well.
Y'all caused us some problems. We're just going to take your tanks and your rifles and anything else with monetary value.
How much do we really want that? What we can do? Turn it into freaking scrap metal? That ain't worth a lot. I mean,
no, it's not. But I mean, the ammo's worth something.
I suppose, but even then, I don't know. I don't know. That's a whole can of worms that I don't know if we should really try to get into.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Maybe one of these days. Maybe one of these days.
All right, guys. Just want to make sure, once again, give us a reaction. Make sure you share our video. Moving on. So we know Trump loves Twitter.
The poppy fields. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But we're already kind of controlling that, aren't we? That CIA's got that unlocked, don't they?
So, moving on, Athen. Focus.
Well, Dean Cerny, I was responding to comments, bruh.
We can't just jump in every time somebody posts something. We got to get on with the stories.
Yes, my lord.
All right, so we all know how much, I'm going to try this one more time. We all know how much Trump loves Twitter, right?
Tweet, bitch.
Okay. Apparently, Francis loves him some Reddit.
Francis who?
Beto O'Rourke, also known as Robert Francis, also known as a felon.
Oh, yeah, that fucktard.
He loves him some Reddit, right?
Yep.
So Reddit's been responding to him recently quite a bit. And a lot of it has been some very negative feedback.
And the thing is, Reddit's not the type of playground where he wants to be putting the shit out that he's putting out, because Reddit's kind of like 4chan. It's the more
Toxic.
conservative part of the internet, and it's more, exactly like you said, it's more toxic too. So you got like Facebook and Twitter are going to be your more liberal sections and portions of the internet, and then Reddit and 4chan are your more conservative sections. So, Beto going out there, and I know what article you're talking about, how he's like, we will come and confiscate your guns and you will turn them over. It's like, why are you doing this, dude?
He claims that Americans will comply with gun confiscations. He even states that at a gun convention, people were coming up to him and saying, I don't need this. I would be happy to turn in my guns. I don't need it for hunting. This is unnecessary. This is a weapon designed for war. Are we 100% certain people aren't saying, come and take it? You have one of the, what was it, a Texas lawyer
Mm-hmm.
said my AR's ready for you. But Francis is hoping for mandatory buybacks or what he calls weapons of war, which again, if you follow our other pages, I posted a video where we laughed our asses off about how they had him, I think they called him a Marine vet, talking about the AR-15. He states fully semi-automatic.
Mm-hmm.
The veteran calls it fully semi-automatic.
Well, he
Not
was.
automatic, not semi-automatic. He is. They say that it was similar to the M4, the M16. It was designed for war, designed to kill.
Well, I mean, so
all,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate as I typically do. So design wise and all that stuff, appearance wise, similarities to like an M4 and an M16 to the AR, whatever type of AR. Yeah, there are lots of similarities. Functionality wise, if you don't flip the switch to Pew mode on the M4 M16.
you can't go full retard on an AR.
Yeah, you can't go full
You
retard
cannot
on
ride
an
the
AR.
lightning.
But
Dean knows who I'm talking about. He was a colonel.
yeah, oh yeah, the dude, and he was firing it, and he didn't even know how to shoot the gun. But but it's like,
He was so far leaned back. If we'd have given him a shotgun, he'd be on his ass.
but it's like if you're good with your girlfriend, you can move your finger fast enough. I mean, you can make a semi-auto fire pretty quick.
Apparently, ATF does not believe that bump stock should be banned. I saw that article earlier today as well. I wish I would have saved it.
On the bump stock, dude, that's something I'm just kind of like neither here nor there on, because it's a fun thing. It's not really, I mean,
It's not.
it's not really functional to be used.
Your accuracy is going to go to hell.
Well, yeah, and you're not going to be able to hold a steady fire rate and all that stuff. It's just something to use for fun. So it's like, fine, whatever, ban it, blah blah blah. It's no sweat off my back because
I don't say ban it. I just don't see a lot of people wanting it for anything other than going to the range.
Yeah.
And going full retard.
Yeah, exactly.
But continuing on, now we're seeing that Reddit, he may not have the support he was saying that he had. Much of his political campaign was met with positive feedback. However, when it came to the topic of gun buyback program, a mandatory program, he was met with an overwhelming amount of downvotes on Reddit. One Reddit user asks how he plans on confiscating the AR-15s, which he said in his proposal was mandatory, not voluntary. Americans will comply with the law. It will be a mandatory buyback of AR-15s and AK-47s, weapons designed for war, because we understand that there's no reason for any of us to own a weapon that was designed to kill people on the battlefield. That's what he says. AR-15 was not designed as a gun of war.
That's semantics, and I'm not going to get into that. But if you go back far enough, a fucking rock was designed to kill people on the battlefield. So
Cain and Abel.
Mm-hmm. So literally, anything that's designed as a functional weapon. I mean, see, and that's where you're getting, again, semantics. So, you know, a club, you know, yeah, sure, that could be used. I mean, a club's original design was to hit something and hurt it, you know, and
The only weapon out there that was not designed originally to be a weapon was a knife.
even then,
Knives,
that's
knives were originally created as a tool.
originally, yes, but I mean, humanity, you know, they're gonna, the moment they realized, and it was probably at the same exact moment it was created as a tool, but like, you know, I can
I
make
can
someone,
steal something with this.
yeah. So, eh, semantics. We could go on and on about this stuff for days, but I'm just not going to. So Dean Cerny down below says bump stocks are gay. You can do the same shit with a damn belt loop. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. It's like if you know they're wanting to go and be like, you can't have this. This is, you know, whatever. It's like, you know, bump stock and all that stuff. Whatever. It's a fun toy. Sure. Will a lot of people be sad that they can't have the fun toy anymore? Yeah, but whatever. It's not something that's going to really make the gun that much more functional. In fact, it may really negatively affect the functionality of the weapon, you know?
He also says the buyback implies that they once owned it. They never owned my firearms. Besides, they can't pass the background check, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, our next topic. We know the phrase "do as I say, not as I do," and many politicians use that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
At least they show it. Well, now we have another tasty example of that. Iowa's Polk County has an annual steak fry event. Well, several of the Democratic presidential candidates will be attending and lecturing that we need to eat less meat due to climate change. So they're talking about eating less meat at a steak fry. Well, if they knew or cared how much methane cows excrete annually, they would probably be encouraging us to eat more meat.
Mm-hmm.
They actually cared about climate change.
Mm-hmm.
You're vegans. I ate the cows that ate your vegetables.
So
You're
here's one thing, like whenever people talk about climate change and people deny climate change and then people are arguing over climate change and all that stuff, this is one of the things. So I'm one of those odd kinds of people where I do actually believe in climate change. I do believe climate change is happening and it is actually a thing. So, however, and I do feel as though humanity has had an effect on the rate at which climate change is happening. However, it is due to agriculture, because your number one producer of greenhouse gases are like ranch resources, you know, cattle and sheep and stuff like that. Your animals that are being farmed for food, right? But even then, that's not really a huge contributor to the.
not in America. Not in America.
Yeah.
The leader of these greenhouse gases is still China.
Yeah. Well, but even
and,
then,
and we're expected to fix their problem, which we talked about several shows ago, where the contract with France, we'd be held liable if we couldn't get.
But even then, livestock is the number one contributor to greenhouse gases. It's even more than human pollution as far as any of that goes. It's a huge. It is massive contributor to greenhouse gases. However, it's not at all enough to really affect the global climate, as a lot of climate change people are saying. To the effect that it's happening. I'm a firm believer in the fact that, you know, it's a natural change in the climate that's happening right now.
Have you ever seen the protest sites that these green people are leaving behind? They're going and protesting, and then you look behind them. Like if they protest putting up a pipeline, or if they want you to stop using vehicles and stuff, they constantly leave trash just littered everywhere. So they don't even listen to themselves.
Well, yeah, and Dean Cerny says, me too, in the summer the climate changes, in the winter the climate changes again. It's, Dean, it's a lot more complex than that. So yes, the greenhouse gases created by livestock, created by, you know, even as Cameron was stating, China and their greenhouse gas emissions and all that stuff, that will do a little bit to affect the climate, but not as greatly as what is happening. What a lot of climate climate scientists and all that stuff believe right now is happening is there's actually a literal shift in there's happening a literal shift in the Earth's climate. So the Earth is currently in an ice age, and then in the ice ages you have cycles of warm periods and cold periods. So right now we're getting to a point we're at the limit where the Earth's climate should be pulling out of the warm period because we're in a warm period right now in the ice age. We should be pulling out of the warm period in the ice age, but what it's looking like is we might actually be beginning to come out of the ice age because historically, throughout the history of the planet, we're at the cycle to where we might actually be ending the ice age. So there's lots of those things, that stuff happening. That's actually a legit scientific theory.
But with the event, they will be grilling 10,500 steaks and 1,000 vegan burgers. Something tells me there's going to be more vegan burgers left over than there are steaks.
I would agree on that.
I like my meat. I like my steak. And if I'm going to an event that's giving me steaks, I'm going for the steak. I still think it's very funny that they're going and trying to push their agenda on eat less meat at a meat eating event. That doesn't add up to me, but that's, again, do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
I would still love to see Beto O'Rourke try and enforce his own mandatory gun buybacks, trying to come into somebody's house and take away their firearms, which we just had another red flag murder recently. There was a man, I can't remember where, I'll have to find the article again, but he was shot dead because he refused to turn his firearms over. We're going to see more and more of these. The red flag laws are nothing good. There's nothing beneficial is going to come of these because everybody with their weapons is going to defend themselves against something like that. And they're doing these red flag raids at like the most inopportune times. You know, like, why are you going to go and knock somebody's door down at 3 a.m. trying to take their guns away? That makes no sense. You're literally doing that to try and catch somebody off guard. And if they're an armed, law-abiding citizen, they're going to expect the worst-case scenario, which worst-case scenario is usually a burglar coming in, not the police.
Mm-hmm. 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 And you're absolutely correct, but now given this, you have to kind of, and that's the thing, you have to be prepared for the ideation that, now maybe this is the police coming for my guns, but then you'd have to have some reason to believe that it might be, and
people are going to second guess themselves, and if it is burglar, they're dead. If it is the police, and they do have their gun, the police are going to shoot first. There was a case a month ago where a cop was going around this guy's house investigating it, had his flashlight out, came up to the door, didn't get good eyes on it, saw the man had a gun, and the cop shot him in his own house while he didn't knock, he didn't do anything. Yet he says that he announced himself, but in the video you can watch, he really doesn't. He doesn't until finally, after he shoots the individual, that he opens the door and says, "I am the police. Ambulance is on the way." So the cop is just shooting into this man's house when he is well within his rights to carry his firearm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in your own home, you should be.
I want to try and believe there's good police officers out there. I really do. But if you're afraid for your life on a regular basis, you should probably find another job. And if you think your job means shoot first, ask questions later, you are definitely in the wrong field. Because a police officer, I fully believe, should not be shooting first. You do not get to fire till you're fired upon, unless he is blatantly becoming a threat. Like you are trying to arrest somebody and they're being hostile, or they have a knife out, they have a weapon out. But that's something that goes more into he's out in public. That's talking semantics.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to believe there's good cops out there, and I see a few videos every now and again of good, honest respectful police officers. But I just saw another case recently where a cop was planting drugs on in people's vehicles to arrest them. He's I think they said like they've already had to release 5 or 6 people. He was put on suspension and he is being investigated. It's like cases going back all the way to like 2015 or something.
Mm-hmm. So and I wanted to go back into the comments. So like Dean Cerny says, come to Ohio every January and tell me the ice age is over. So okay,
Dave, send some of that cold down here. It's too hot.
So what it does with the climate, with the change of climate, the shift in all that stuff, you're going to have bursts of cold. So and this is a cycle. So what we've had for the last couple of years is there's pockets of cold that are trapped up north due to the heat that's coming up from the south. So it's going to be trapped up north, and that's going to sit there, and it's going to chill up there. I mean, it's hard. I haven't done any research on this recently, so I can't come up with any of the references. But and it's not necessarily. I'm not necessarily saying that the ice age is over. We may actually just be pulling out of the warm period, which is going to have high fluctuations of cold to warm. So, we're going to, in part of going into the warm period is we are going to melt, because what's going to happen is your caps are going to melt. It's going to desalinate the oceans, which could then either cause stuff to get hotter or get colder. So,
but moving on, we were talking about gun control and all that. Well, apparently China wants to debate our gun control as well. There was a Chinese government panel inviting gun control activists as well as diplomats and human rights activists for a hearing in Beijing. The discussion was to determine if the United States is safe enough for Chinese students and companies to continue their actions in the United States, so continuing going to school and continuing to push their businesses. The article also poses figures such as 393 million guns to the 329 million U.S. citizens. Despite the proposal, the Chinese government will decline any attempt to put any action into place against the United States with firearms. It also says that some members of the Congress, despite being very young, are used to the hegemonic mindset, pretending to be the savior of the world. No, we're not the savior of the world. We never intended to be the savior of the world. We're not Batman. We're Big Brother. We have been Big Brother for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we've ever been, is Big Brother. You act up, we put our boot up your ass. We might be younger than y'all, but we still know how to beat the hell out of some people. The bill has been seen by the protesters as interference in Hong Kong's governing. We discussed the protest last week, which they were waving the American flag, calling for democracy, for those of you who remember. But now the Hong Kong Police Union has called for the use of live ammo against violent protesters, which I haven't seen personally on any news, really. Any kind of violent protester in China, they've been waving flags, they've been out protesting peacefully, but now the government is going out with live rounds, and I have a feeling within the next upcoming week or so, we're going to see a lot of gun deaths in China as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dean, you are correct. China needs to learn something from the British history, as well as some of the Democrats going around today. They tried to take our guns in 1776. We shot them. The Second Amendment right shall not be infringed. It is to maintain a well-regulated militia. So, seeing as we have no real definition of the well-regulated militia for the government, the well-regulated militia is basically everybody with a firearm in the United States that wants to defend their freedoms and their rights.
See, but then you have to get into the semantics of well regulated. What is well regulated?
Well regulated would be more along the lines of everybody's trained. The 3%ers, I know that group out there. They train regularly.
Mm-hmm.
They have drills. They do. That's a more well regulated militia, but it's still the people's rights to defend themselves.
It is. It is the people's rights to defend themselves. Like, and that's kind of the catch in it, I suppose. Like, well regulated, and that's not even really the key part of it because it's the people's rights shall not be infringed, and then
Right. That's the biggest part of it.
It's up to a well regulated militia to be able to enforce those rights. So now we have to, like you said, you have the 3%ers, you have state militias, obviously, that are that are there to.
Technically, I think the NRA could fall under that as well.
I would agree to that as well. And then, I mean, and even under this whole, quote unquote gun control, if it was just regulated to where the point of, okay, you have to have mandatory, training, you have to attend, go to a range and practice with your weapons so often in order to, continue to be able to, own a weapon. I think that's not going too far with anything. That's not really regulating your ability. That's maintaining that you are well regulated, right?
Yeah, I could see that. I'm still going to say the Second Amendment right shall not be infringed is probably the best thing. And yes, Admiral Yamamoto did say, "Behind every blade of grass is a rifle." I love that quote. That is was a very accurate quote in the time. That's why we have not been invaded. The biggest reason why is during one of the wars, they did a calculation of all the hunters that were in the area, and it was insane the amount of people if they were to try and invade through Canada or Alaska, the amount of hunters was with 3 states, it was the number 1 army. Texas alone for the gun control, if the people in Texas were going to war, they would be the largest unofficial army. They calculated out all the states, and it was just hilarious to see how few states it would take to create just massive armies of people to defend. So, all right, ready to move on, Ethan?
Yeah.
All right, so guys, we talk about our boys a lot on this show. All right, we talked about it in Nuts for Your Nuts. We also covered it a little bit again with Fish So You Aren't Nuts. Well, now we're covering it with Weed for Your Nuts. So, I have no idea where the topic is. But we now know that biological reasons marijuana might impact sperm quality. Some studies have shown that marijuana has helped, and some have shown that it hurts sperm quality. A study conducted in Denmark revealed that the body's sperm-making machines recognize cannabinoids. The study reveals there are more signs of endocannabinoid system, which is a system of neurotransmitters naturally created in the body, similar to cannabinoids. The study revealed of 15 men that there are plenty of receptors in testicles and sperm. That means when you smoke, it could affect your boys. So the study shows that it could have negative effects to the body after smoking weed. However, another study of 662 men, the 365 who had smoked had better sperm count than 297 that didn't. A Harvard doctor also saw that smoking could be beneficial for fighting testicular cancer.
So when I read this article, because I did read it, just because I do smoke weed and I was curious. So what I gathered from it was it's kind of dependent upon the person, how your receptors are and all that stuff. It could affect your sperm count negatively, and it could affect your sperm count positively. So, and that's something I guess you can only know if you kind of do one of those tests,
Yep.
So, And
Athen, I'm going to let you cover this topic for a little longer. I've got to step out for a minute.
okay, so that's about as much as I had to cover on that one. But I'll go ahead and read a little bit more on it. Let's see. Let me find it real quick, and then I'll pull it up and I'll talk about it, and I'll talk about it some more. And Cameron's going to do something, and he's not here anymore, and I'm still looking for the article, and I'm talking a lot, and why can't I find the article? Let's see. Trump. No, that's the wrong one. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Nope. 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 There we go. All right. Copy link. Yep, I'm talking to myself. So, Dean, you said it makes you paranoid. I'd be afraid my dick would explode when I come. So the thing with that, what I've noticed for me is it depends on what type you're smoking. So for me, like if I smoke a sativa, so that's the kind that gives you a more cerebral kind of high. It's the stuff that gives you more energy. Those will always make me paranoid. However, when I smoke something like a indica, which is the stuff that makes you more tired and sleepy and kind of chill, those will less often make me paranoid. Now, if I get really, really high, it's kind of give and take. Sometimes it'll just make me paranoid no matter what. Sometimes it won't. And it has more to do with the fact of my anxiety than anything else. And the indicas tend to, if I smoke slowly and I don't smoke a lot, the indicas will kind of control my anxiety and all that stuff. But if I get way too high way too quickly, my anxiety shoots up and all that stuff. There are some people who just get anxiety and get paranoid no matter what whenever they smoke. And it's just one of those things. It's something you have to kind of know. And you don't know unless you try it. So, and then Jay Lopez checking in. What's up? So I'm gonna read a little.
I apologize about that. I'm back.
Oh, welcome back.
So, have you moved on any?
Have I moved on? No, I was just discussing one of Dean Sturging's comments about how weed makes him paranoid.
No.
Your camera's black, Cameron.
Okay, shouldn't be. There it goes. That was very delayed.
Mary Hermeza joined. Welcome, Mary. Thank you for watching.
So, as I said earlier, we were going to talk about this a little bit this week, and then we're going to cover more in depth next week with our guest speaker. We're talking about vape pens, specifically the juice that's getting people sick. There have been several hundred people getting sick, and 6 dead or 7 dead so far. But what the media isn't explaining is that they're getting sick in areas that have banned flavors for e-cigarettes. Many individuals have admitted to getting black market e-cig juice and or cartridges with THC in them that have vitamin E acetate, which is used to thicken the oils. Vitamin E also makes THC to appear to be a higher quality and can help it pass a bubble test, which is just testing the viscosity of what they're smoking. A report in Wisconsin and Illinois stated that the 24 out of 41 cases involved dank vapes, a fake brand with no license where people can basically get whatever they want, THC, e-cig juice with nicotine. But what they don't tell you is that they got a little more in them than they expected. They got that vitamin E acetate. Now, many of the thickening agents are being acquired legally, but are being abused as a cutting agent. Again, they're using more and more to make it look thicker and thicker and appear to be a higher quality.
Mm-hmm.
Most fluids are cut with medium chain triglycerides found in coconut oil. But vitamin E acetate can also, I already covered that. The thickeners are not hard to come by. You can get a half gallon for $1,500, which if you see how much they're filling and the size of what they're selling, it's still a very large profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
So by banning the e-cig fluids and by not legalizing THC, it's been pushed to the black market, so it is unregulated and untested. So be careful what you buy if you smoke, if you use an e-cig, whatever. Don't get crap quality, and don't believe, you want to go through somebody that's licensed. You want to get the right juices for what you're doing. And I wanted to make this very clear because I use an e-cigarette. My parents are paranoid about it. So just,
go ahead.
I've been smoking for years. I haven't been sick. A lot of these kids that are getting sick are 18, 19 something year olds just starting smoking, or they want their THC. They know they can get it on the internet, so that's how they're going to get it.
So given this, I live in Oregon and all that stuff, obviously, and I've been working customer service at a retail, or not a retail store, but a convenience store. We sell lots of vape type products, and I have had several customers that are coming in telling me that, especially since this whole news about all this coming through, that it makes sense now because they're having more health issues, they're having more problems with their lungs. They're that now that they understand, now that it kind of makes sense, one of the worst decisions of their life was to start vaping and all that stuff.
Well, that's funny because two things to add to this. Mm-hmm. One, my buddy was actually one of the ones responsible for pushing to have. He got about several thousand people to call up the White House and complain, saying that what they're doing is wrong, that it's imposing, and it's going to create more problems, and it's going to fix. Another one was a story that he told me about a gentleman he knew. He was 50 years old. Had smoked for years. The doctor warned him that his lungs were getting bad. He needed to stop smoking. So this gentleman picked up vaping. When he went back to the doctor later, the doctor had told him he looked like he had the lungs of a 30-year-old. So it actually did help clear up some of the crud that smoking had been affecting him with. Mm-hmm. So real e-cig juice and real THC cartridges that aren't cut to hell with vitamin E acetate, they're not harmful or as harmful for you as real cigarettes are.
So now, what we're
one of the bullshit topics that the article covers is they say, well, we've been using it for years like this and we've never had any problems. We don't, we all thought it would be okay. Mm-hmm. Well, vitamin E acetate is actually a preservative used typically in creams and lotions.
And it is known scientifically that vitamin E is not something that is intended or meant or even healthy for a human to consume in any form, shape, or factor. Like, it's like you were saying, it's a skin thing. It's an external application thing only. And yeah. So I don't think that's a valid excuse. Well, we've been using it for years. We had no idea it was going to do anything wrong. No, there's lots of science showing that vitamin E is not something you consume internally, period. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how they've always done it.
Right?
so they claim. You want to make sure I get the VG based or the majority is VG. There's a little bit of BG in some of them, which is the synthetic version. But most of what I get is like a 70-30 blend. Mm-hmm. 70% vegetable-based oils compared to the 30% synthetic-based oils. So.
Okay. So. I don't know. I'm just quitting smoking the old-fashioned way. I'm chewing instead.
That's not. Okay, so.
Which I'm gonna have to quit that too. So I have someone telling me that they want me to quit chewing also. So.
Just pick up an e-cig. Go to an actual retailer. I haven't bought cigarettes in like 2 years.
I had a really nice vape, similar to yours, a few years ago, and I ended up having a massive panic attack while using it that put me in the emergency room and all kinds of things. So
that was probably the BG based stuff, because several years ago that's what it all was. It was all that synthetic blend.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure. I just know. I mean, I was buying quality vape juice from the actual legit vape stores here in town and Ben and all that stuff. But it just it and all that stuff. And I don't know. I stopped vaping and I just don't want to do it anymore. Oh, you use Vuses? Okay. Like right now, my store is selling the Vuse Altos for 99 cents. So I've been considering buying one, but like quitting smoking isn't really an issue. It's quitting chewing. So I might want to switch over to like using Zen or something like that. But then at the same point, not really quitting. I'm just substituting.
Trading one vice for another.
Yeah. So it's like once I've completely gotten off of smoking and I've switched over to chewing, I can slowly wean myself off of chewing, which will be easy to do. So.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
So, moving on, unless we have anything else to add about this one.
I think we pretty much covered it.
Again, we'll be covering this topic again later on with our guest speaker, so that'll be interesting to get his side of things as well. Being a retailer, also trying to fight it from the inside. So, our next story comes to us about swatting. For those of you who don't know what swatting is somebody backtracking your VPN or checking your social media, basically finding out where you live, calling the police, and reporting a crime heinous enough to get SWAT to your house. Not just regular police, SWAT.
Let me throw something in here real quick. So you mentioned the VPN. So what that is, the VPN is actually something that can help keep this from happening because people can track your IP address.
IP, that's what I was
your IP, and using a VPN of a virtual freaking I can't remember what the
P network.
Yeah, virtual P network.
Virtual P network.
Virtual protocol network. That's what it is. All right, so using a virtual protocol network will actually make it seem like your provider, where you're at, is in a completely different location. So I use a VPN, and mine typically will say that I'm, it'll put me in any place throughout the world. It's like completely random. One time it can look like I'm in China, another time it could look like I'm in Texas or whatnot. So, and that'll help prevent against this kind of thing. But anyways, continuing on.
So, 9-year-old Casey Viner is guilty of the 2017 swatting incident, which led to the death of 28-year-old Andrew Finch. Viner had lost a $1.50 bet. That's $1.50, not $150. Bet during a game of Call of Duty. Casey then hired 26-year-old Tyler Barris, asking him to call the police with a fake emergency to the address. Viner incorrectly gave the address to Andrew Finch. Police fatally shot Finch in his Wichita home. Viner pleaded guilty to felony charges of conspiracy and obstruction of justice. He then received a 15-month prison sentence and has been banned from gaming for 2 years. Barris, however, received a 20-year sentence. And we talk about toxicity in gaming a lot. Honestly, This kid should be banned for life for being that, one, his parents should probably learn how to use a belt a little more. And by that, I mean spank the shit out of your kids. Something like this should never happen. This is just insane. I don't think he should ever be allowed back to any kind of games. But he's also going to have to live as a 9-year-old for the rest of his life with a felony charge, as well as knowing that he caused somebody's death.
The kid who called in the SWAT was 9?
No, the kid hired another guy to call in the police.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey, the 9-year-old, called in Andrew Barris he called Andrew to call in the police. Barris gave the wrong address, and then
that's because I remember reporting on this before. I didn't remember anything about the person that initiated the swatting being 9. This is news to me. So they're okay. So because I remember I remember covering it. Like they had the bet. The bet was lost by the kid. He got angry and asked, what the person's address was. They're gonna whoop their ass. I'm gonna freaking swat you and all that stuff. And dude gave a fake address, as you would, obviously. So, but okay, cool.
So yeah, 9-year-old's gonna have. No, I think he should have gotten a bigger punishment than what he received, even him being 9. Dean, I agree. I have no idea how this kid managed to hire anybody. It didn't explain in the article. I can imagine he probably saved up his allowance, or maybe it was a babysitter he had or something. But I think Barris did receive a just sentence. 20 years is a long time, but the kid definitely should receive more punishment than what he received. 15 months is not long enough, and a 2-year gaming ban. I mean, how are they going to regulate that? That's going to be almost solely on the parents.
Well, a gaming ban, if it's because I think the only way they could really enforce that and regulate it is if it's an online type ban, and that I feel would be fairly easy to maintain because I mean I'm sure that would be fairly easy to maintain. Now, just any general game, I don't see, like you were saying, I don't see that being anything that they'd be able to maintain or regulate. And
I mean, he's going to find, especially if he gets his hands on a cell phone, he's going to be able to game.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, computer games, but there's still some pretty interesting cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's going to be almost impossible to regulate. But 15 months for basically manslaughter.
That seems about. I mean, because manslaughter doesn't really carry that huge of a sentence, like a prison sentence.
That's still 15 to 20, if I remember. At least in Texas, it's still like 15 to 20.
I think manslaughter is usually you can usually get like a max sentence I've ever seen for manslaughter is going to be below 10, and people generally tend to only end up serving 2 to 5 years for a manslaughter.
Then how did Barris get 20?
Who?
The 26-year-old, 25-year-old that actually called in the police.
Well, see, and then that's gonna come to a different level of manslaughter. That's because that's more intentional, more of manslaughter with intent than like just inadvertent manslaughter. So this kid is just like, hey, call the SWAT on them, and the kid called SWAT. The other person called SWAT. So there's going to be a level of difference. So like if you're driving drunk and you end up killing someone, you're going to have more intent involved with your manslaughter than if you are driving and you take a right turn. There happens to be someone crossing a crosswalk and you accidentally hit them. So I think it's going to have a variance in your level of involvement and intent in the, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean he's still got 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
It still just baffles me how somebody could come to the conclusion that, this is a great idea. I'm going to call the police, tell them that this dude is holding his family hostage with a gun at point, and he's threatening to kill him and then kill himself, and we're going to have the SWAT come in. SWAT, the article says they have some means in place to kind of help determine what is a swatting case and what isn't, but you still have to respond to these calls. I just don't know how they came to the point of shooting the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, young man. He's older than I am, so.
Well, see, so I remember I covered this when it was actually a new story. So here's what happened. I believe there was actually video of it as well. So what had happened is SWAT pulled up to dude's house, right? They came out, they pulled up, and there was all kinds of lights and all that stuff happening, and outside. And the guy, they didn't knock on the door or anything like that. The guy was like, "What the fuck's happening?" So he went to his door, he opened it up, and he goes outside, and he sees all the lights, all the cops, and he didn't put his hands up because it's late at night. He didn't know what was going on, and he's sitting there, and he dropped his hands down to his waist or something like that, and it's a SWAT. It's a call for a SWAT. SWAT shows up for a reason, right? And
Yeah,
they see him drop his hands down to his waist, and then they
they
just
thought he
open
was going
fire.
for a fire. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I can see that.
So I mean, it's in honestly, you can't fault the officers for it because they're going to what they think is a volatile situation. This dude had no idea what was going on. He didn't know
He
that.
was thinking it was for his neighbor or something. He just
Yeah.
what was going on.
So it just. Yeah, it's a shitty situation that never should have happened, but
No. So if you think swatting somebody's a good idea, you need to get the hell off.
mm-hmm. So.
That is unnecessary. That is inhumane by any means because you put somebody else's life at risk for what you think is a giant joke. And when this started, I mean, there were dozens and dozens of cases of this going on. And it was there had to be probably 20 cases when this started of people just calling, and some people laugh about it, and some people, take the views you and I have where this shit should not happen.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, it can be laughed at later on in life if it happens to you, but just thinking about it and like wanting to have it done, no.
Well, and it's like what happened with it is because there's lots of videos on YouTube of people getting swatted, and usually it's like high-end YouTube streamers, right? So because it's really easy if you're streaming, it's really easy to go on and get someone's IP address, and what they do is they call in a SWAT on a stream, right? Just to mess with the streamer, to mess up their stream and all that stuff, just as a joke. And the SWAT team would come in, they'd kick in doors and they'd come in and tackle the people to the ground, and they'd be like, "What's going on? I don't understand." And they'd get arrested in the middle of their stream, and people would laugh like, "Oh, that's hilarious." So, and then it caught on, and then people like in this situation, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna SWAT you," and it's like, I'm sure you've heard freaking the little squeakers when we're playing threaten swatting and all that stuff, just because, "Oh, I'm gonna SWAT you," and all that stuff, and now it's a real concern. It's a real something that you really have to be worried about. It's like when a little squeaker's like, "I'm going to SWAT you," and you have to actually kind of be worried this person's going to SWAT you, because it's not hard to get someone's IP address and find their address, their actual physical address. So
don't do it.
Yeah. So Jade Lopez said, "SWAT came storming into my apartment when I was 19. Dumb roommates were running outside with airsoft rifles, and neighbors panicked." I remember, I don't know.
That's not so much your roommates being dumb, that's the neighbors being paranoid.
Yeah, there's that.
I had airsoft guns when I was a kid, and we'd go to the park that was down the street, and we'd shoot each other all day. Yeah, and we never had the cops come.
Well, see, I don't know how old Jade is, but I'm going to say, so for myself, I remember back when I was like my junior year of high school, I lived in Reno. And I was living with my uncle at the time. He was younger and kind of a little bit immature and all that stuff. And I had a lot of friends that were over all the time. And we used to go out and do stupid shit. I had paintball guns also. And like, we would go kind of creeping through our apartment complex. And like, I'd go outside and just pepper some of the neighbors' houses with paintballs just because we're messing with them. But they would do stupid shit like that too to us. They'd throw shit at our house. They'd run past our back porch and our back patio and stuff like that, and throw water balloons out our fucking slider door and all that stuff. We would just fuck with each other like that. But also we're talking, this is mid 90s too. So, a big difference in time
mindset
and all that stuff,
Speaking of airsoft guns, a FedEx Corporation pilot has been detained by Chinese authorities in Guangzhou for allegedly transporting ammo. Now pay attention, because this gets interesting for how they explain it. The arrest was on September 12th, and he has been held since. Unnamed sources say that the man was carrying non-metallic pellets like those used in low-powered air guns. It sounds like he was carrying airsoft pellets. They The Chinese authorities have begun an investigation. It is not yet clear if he was carrying live rounds or just pellets alone. Like many employees of the FedEx, the employee has been making deliveries and has been checked by the Border Patrol due to the protests going on. The company has already been under investigation for the transportation of knives. The employee had completed his deliveries and was waiting on his flight home when he was detained and questioned. They took his cell phone, any communication devices, as well as his passport.
This is in China, though, right?
This is in China.
Okay. So, I mean, and this makes it airsoft pellets. I can't really see. This is probably like legit, either BBs or pellets.
They said non-metallic. Lead is still a metal. Copper is still a metal. So if they're saying non-metallic, and they also say it's used in low-powered air guns, which a low-powered air gun to me sounds like another airsoft gun, CO2 cartridges, stuff like that. So it sounds like this FedEx employee was detained by carrying airsoft pellets.
That's stupid.
They've held him for, what's today's date? Since the 12th?
Oh, is this the pilot?
He's been detained for 12 days already.
And that's just ridiculous. And, like, I mean, that is ridiculous because there's nothing you can hurt with an airsoft rifle. Like, maybe if you get a really good quality airsoft rifle and you shoot someone right in the eye with it, you can, blind them. But, like, you ain't really doing anything.
That's also a hell of a shot with an airsoft gun.
Right? So,
especially with the protesters, they're going to have police that are covered, full riot wear. They're going to have the face shield helmets and everything. So
yeah. And
it's I can understand a little bit getting upset about the transportation of knives, but I like to eat steak. And when I eat my steak, sometimes it comes out a little tougher than I want it to be. So I need a knife to cut the damn thing.
Yeah, but in those general cases, you're not going to be transporting your own knife to cut your steak.
Right. So if he's transporting knives, it's probably going to somebody's home.
Yeah.
So that's not on the FedEx employee for fulfilling his deliveries. If they don't want them, they need to put a ban on whoever's providing them and tell them, hey, look, we don't accept these products in our country. That's not on FedEx. FedEx is the middleman.
So now, like,
you can't get pissed at the middleman.
So, and in a country like China, where weapons and all that stuff are highly regulated, so I can understand concern through like air rifle type ammunition, because you do have like those 50 caliber freaking air rifles that like it literally shoots a 50 cal slug and it shoots at a high rate of speed. I mean.
That thing's still only accurate to 150 feet, if I remember right. I looked it up.
The ones I've seen have some range on it. I watched Demolition Range.
They don't have accuracy.
Oh, the ones I've seen do. Demolition Ranch, he tested some of them, and they have some freaking accuracy. They use them to go boar hunting.
On an air rifle?
Yeah, 50 cal air rifle.
Huh.
Yeah, they as long as
I somehow doubt that that's going to drop a boar, but
oh yeah, they use them for boar hunting. They let me see if I can find one of the videos from Demolition Ranch, but
even still, they're not going to let that 50 in China alone.
Oh yeah, definitely, they're not going to let that in China.
But I definitely want one. If they're going boar hunting with that thing, that sounds gnarly. Still, I mean, they in the article they cover it's non-metallic, so it cannot be any kind of a round used in a gas-powered rifle. And I say gas-powered being, black powder.
Mm-hmm. So
Dean, if you know the gun he's talking about, you send that to me.
I've got the Demo Ranch video right here.
I'll have to look that up.
I posted it in comments. I'll send it to you over message.
I'm just gonna pull it out of the comments.
Okay.
As soon as it's up. Well, all right. So that makes it a little more iffy, but still, if I want to know the size of these pellets they're sending, I want to know more details about this thing, because if you're detaining a FedEx employee for doing his job, I can tell you trade is going to go down.
I agree with you on that. It definitely will. So I mean, the and like there's gonna be some shit popping off in China here in the near future. I
Oh
can
yeah,
feel it, because they're getting tastes of liberty through Taiwan. So
and I think with us talking about the oil reserves, Saudi Arabia and Iran, saying they're ready for war. I think we're looking at another big war coming
mhm,
soon.
yep, I think so. There's some shit gonna pop off somewhere, and it's gonna happen. I'm sure of it. Um, Real quick, I'm gonna go grab another beer. So if you want to take that opportunity to migrate into another topic,
Yeah, I can do that. We only have a few more left.
cool, I'll be right back.
Three or so. Go ahead. Our next topic, ladies and gentlemen, is about a black hole. There's currently a study that has people paranoid as all hell. They're paranoid that this black hole is going to swallow the Earth. Researchers, however, are telling people to calm the hell down. It takes 26,000 light years before news from the center of the Milky Way reaches Earth. Researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles detected on May 13th an area around the black hole was twice as bright as it's been ever. It's even compared to the brightest. The burst of brightness was due to the light radiation caused by stellar gas and dust falling into the black hole. Now, this needs to be very clear. The black hole is currently not moving at all.
Hmm.
So this black hole is not moving, but there's so many people looking at this thing like, oh God, we're going to die. What are you going to do
So
about a black hole? I mean, if it comes to try and swallow us, all you can really do is look at it. It's a black hole. You going to throw water on it? Get them some milk?
they're. I mean, in that situation, you're absolutely correct. There's not a lot we can do about it except for try to figure out a way to migrate far, far, far fucking away, right? Um,
Well,
the
the black hole's not moving, so it's not a
yeah,
threat right now.
it's
If it
not.
starts to move, I'll start to get a little scared.
This is and here's in what it is um the concern with it isn't that it's moving, but these flashes that have been seen. Because I saw a little bit of stuff. This is I love science and I research a lot of this stuff. So um
He's
the
your science guy. I'm your politics.
so the concern with it is the black hole for a period of time hadn't really been eating anything, because it kind of got to an equilibrium where stuff was far enough out to where there was nothing coming in. And then also at the same time, when you get a did you just drink vape juice, dude?
No, that was CBD oil.
Oh, okay. But so what's happening is, with a black hole, when stuff does enter the black hole, there's, the light can't escape, right? So the fact that there's flashes coming from this black hole is something new and unusual, and we don't know. And
No,
there's
no, it's not new and unusual. It's been shown before. It's not in the black hole. This is because the
mm,
light flashes are coming from the outside
yeah,
circumference
yeah,
of the black hole,
not
where
the,
light
yeah.
light can still escape
Hmm.
because it's shitting itself. Oh
Well,
God, I'm gonna. If you're about to die and there's nothing you can do, what do? You run.
I didn't read this article. I'm going off of other stuff that I saw and read based off of this. So what I saw was that they're not they it's new and unusual, because this shouldn't be happening with the black hole. There shouldn't be any light flashes coming from it. This shouldn't be happening. Um,
This one, however, it's been fairly common.
okay.
Light
So
light flashes have been common because it is sucky and dust and
mhm.
all that crap.
There will be dust and cosmic dust, but as far as any planetary bodies being close to it, and I think that's what the articles and stuff that I was reading is, it's somehow starting to pull actual bodies, planetary bodies, into it. So it's starting to. I
This
don't recall.
article that it doesn't cover any of that.
Really?
This one, yeah, this one, it's just some random space dust got into it. You know, there's no gravity in outer space, so if something travels nearby close enough to this black hole, it's getting sucked in. It's a big black hole.
Mm-hmm.
It's going.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
as
This
far
was
as
a couple
as
weeks ago that I
far as
read.
black hole is concerned, it's just it was a random spurt of cosmic dust that flew by, got sucked in, and the black hole's still not moving. So there's nothing we need to worry about as of yet. Now, if it starts to move, okay. Space Force.
Yeah, even then, Space Force won't help. And I mean, even at that point, like,
Oh no, it's the Navy. It's not the Air Force.
I mean, but if the black hole did start to move, like the amount of time that we'd have to prepare
I'm
would
dead.
be
I'm
kind of,
already dead.
yeah, we're not gonna have to worry about it. And
Dean's definitely not going to have to worry about it.
yeah, Dean's definitely not gonna have to worry about it. Our kids probably won't have to worry about it. Our kids probably won't have to worry about it. I mean, we've
Our kids might have to sweat a little bit.
their kids, yeah, our kids might have to sweat a little bit, but at that particular point in time, I mean, we're talking at that point, what? That's
100,
3
300,
generations. So
we'll call it 300 years. So
yeah, I
that's
mean,
plenty of time for science to turn around and go,
yeah.
no.
So
Because they're constantly discovering new things.
Mhm.
So I'm not worried about it.
exactly. So
But moving on, 7 signs of stress. Here's 7 signs that you are more stressed out than you realize. Number 1, persistent headache that won't go away. 2, your digestive system feels off. So if you're not liking what you normally eat or it's affecting you differently, that could be a sign that you're more stressed than you usually think you are. Constant dehydration or continuous thirst. If you feel like you're always needing water, could be a sign of stress.
does beer count?
No. Your your sleep cycle is widely unpredictable. So if you're normally sleeping from 10 to 6 and you can't fall asleep anymore, that could be a sign you're overstressed. Number 5, profuse sweating. I'm a big heavy guy. I go outside, I sweat. I'm not stressed. I'm just fat.
Right?
I'm working on that. I got a hold of Nutrisystem. I'm going to be starting a diet soon, so hopefully I'll start looking sexy for y'all. Fit back into a suit, start doing this show professionally. We all know that when we talk, professionalism kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, something like that.
Hair loss. If you're losing your hairs, that could be another sign that you're overstressed, and a loss of interest in things that you used to find interesting. So if you used to like playing a lot of video games or hunting and fishing, and those things don't strike you as entertaining anymore, you just want to sit on the couch, drink your beer, watch your TV, pass out, that could be a sign that you're overstressed as well. So
What if that's what you like doing to begin with, and then you just
Right.
don't have any interest in that anymore?
well, then you're really stressed. You might get to see a therapist on that one.
Oh, Jay Lopez says, can't find a baby face that sexy, though. Just saying. She talking about you?
She's talking about me. So I'm gonna be losing some weight, Jay. They're saying I should lose about 18 pounds a month on the diet. So hopefully I start looking real good for y'all.
The hell just popped up there?
Yeah, Dean, I'm with you. I have some kind of ADD, ADHD, or retard brain. Most of the time I can't sleep because I'll go crawl off into some kind of a fantasy and
Wait,
live in there for
they're saying
30, 40 hours.
they're saying in the roast chat that you said you're in, but you also said you're not in. So I don't know. I'm confused here.
I did what? Is this the VRS show host chat?
No, it's the roast chat. Okay, so and High Tech said no, he's not.
Okay, whatever. If they want me, I'll be there. If not, oh, whatever. I'm bringing you with me. You know I'm better. Moving on. All right.
You
so
know,
ladies,
I'm not good at roasting, at doing a roast. So I mean, it would probably be better off if You were there, not me, but
I don't know the guy, so
I know, and it'll be hard for you to roast someone if you don't know him. So
I don't know. Does he like to eat? Does he lick windows? Was he a crayon eater?
he was in the army.
Oh, ain't ready to be a Marine yet. Got it. Checks with church. So, ladies, here's one for y'all. We constantly do something talking about guys. We're talking about our nuts quite a bit on this show. I'm surprised y'all stick around as long. So we finally have a topic just for y'all.
Ooh.
It's long overdue. You know, we owe some topics. We owe some interviews. If y'all want to be a guest speaker on the show, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to bring in some guests. We'd love to get another show spokesperson, because as y'all see, when Athens starts up, he's slow. Yeah. Huh? But here's one just for y'all, ladies. These are diabetic symptoms for women that you should be looking out for. For type 1 diabetes, one symptom could be dramatic weight loss. Number 2 is extreme fatigue. And number 3 is irregular period. So if you don't know when Aunt Flo's coming, you might have type 1 diabetes. So get checked, go to the hospital, find out. Type 2 is a lot harder to detect. There's actually no symptoms. If you do show a symptom, it's most likely to be polycystic ovarian syndrome. So if you show signs of type 1, get checked. If you don't know, get checked, because you could have type 2. Gestational diabetes. So for gestational, that's baby, pregnant stuff.
Yep, that's for women.
This is all for women, ladies. This is just for y'all. Your baby's larger than normal, or you have an excessive weight gain during the pregnancy. So yes, we expect baby weight to come on. You're eating all this weird shit, pickles and ice cream. I don't know why pickles and ice creams never sounded appetizing to me.
So in gestational diabetes is one of those things that can stick around, or it can just be there for the pregnancy. It's kind of, gestational diabetes is a weird thing.
It is. So it's not as concerning as type 1 or type 2, but you still should get checked.
I mean, it is kind of concerning. It can cause a miscarriage.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, it's not as concerning for a long term as far as like type 1 and type 2, where you're going to live with it for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But gestational, it could be short term, it could be long term. If you see your baby being big, or if you start to get a little bigger and you thought you were going to be, get checked. Pre-diabetes, this is just a sign that could be before. Dean wants to talk about his nuts again. Pre-diabetes, one sign to check before you become diabetic is elevated blood glucose. So that could also be for men as well. But ladies, make sure you get checked. Keep your health, keep happy. I'm sure we'll wind up talking about the tatas eventually. Watching out for breast
Titties
cancer.
and guns. Hey, that's October.
I'm a fond supporter of LGBT. Liquors, guns,
bacon, titties.
Beer, bacon, and titties.
Yep. So next month is October. That is the titty month. We need to get some good titty stories. We need to have at least one titty story per week next month.
Yep.
So
ladies, next month is going to be all about y'all.
Mm-hmm. We got to make it all about the ladies.
Since we talk about our boys quite enough. Dean wants to talk about them some more. Dean, you get us 3 more regular followers, we'll have a nut story every other week.
Sounds good.
We'll make that deal.
Maybe we can find some stories for next month about nuts on titties.
That one's gonna be hard though.
I mean, just go to Pornhub. You can find all kinds of stories about nuts on titties.
I'm talking about actual stories.
I know. It was a joke.
Not very witty one.
I'm not good at it. That's why I'm not good at a roast. But I'm gonna show up.
Maybe we should roast you.
Right? That was supposed to happen.
That would work. That would work, Dean. cut the shop towels thin enough, duct tape the paracord, you got your pull string, boom. You'd use a piece of PVC for the insert.
The applicator.
I'm just saying. Redneck ingenuity, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any redneck ingenuity stories, photos, memes, jokes, posts, whatever, we'd love to see them on it. 1700 Nail Train Fighters. Once again, please, please, please give us a reaction and a share. We're trying to get out there. We want our voices to be heard. We love having y'all with us on the show. We have one more topic to cover. It's real quick, sweet. Well,
you can submit memes and stuff through email.
You can post your memes on our Discord page as well. We do have multiple channels in there for memes or photos of your animals. I'm probably going to put up one for guns as well because, well, I like guns. So please jump in our Discord. Come say hi, hello. Come talk to us. Show some love. We want to show y'all some love. So again, if you want to be a guest speaker on our show, please reach out to me and Athen as well. You know, we can't grow without y'all helping us. So, gotta give you. Me and Athen were also talking about making some shirts. I want a coffee mug though. I want to give me a coffee mug, but I want one of them big coffee. I don't want a little itty bitty like I can only get 2 fingers through the coffee mug. I got big hands. I need a big man's coffee mug because coffee. When I drink coffee, I'm not drinking this. I'm drinking this. Jade, come and stir the pot. Our Discord's always open. Our last topic is kind of a sad one. Rick Ocasek, lead singer for the Cars, has been found dead at 75. Rick was the frontman and lead singer for the Cars. He was announced dead upon arrival, or dead at the scene, not dead upon arrival, excuse me, and had died from a pulmonary emphysema.
Emphysema or embolism?
Emphysema.
Pulmonary emphysema.
Yep, a contributing condition, meaning he suffered from high blood pressure and a chronic lung condition.
Let me read the article because that does not sound like it makes any sense.
I'm looking at it right now. Cause of death, and that pulmonary emphysema. Died of natural causes. Determined that hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease was the cause of death, and that pulmonary emphysema was a contributing condition.
Okay, so pulmonary emphysema is just emphysema.
You can get Discord on your phone. Don't give me excuses. Give me results. I want everybody to give us a share and get us a new follower within the week.
Okay, so hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Okay, so he had heart disease.
He had old man problems.
Yeah, he was old. Was the cause of death, and that pulmonary emphysema was a contributing condition, meaning that he suffered from high blood pressure, a chronic lung condition, and a buildup of fats, cholesterol, and so. Okay, all right. So yeah, that does make sense. Okay.
I'll make y'all a deal. Y'all get me 20 followers by the next show. 20 constant views in the show. I'll do a shirt giveaway. I'll go out, get a shirt made, and it'll have our L Train Fighters at 1700 somewhere sailor on it. And I'll figure out a way to do a giveaway. Y'all get us 20 followers, and I'll get us a shirt made. So y'all gotta pull y'all's heads out of your asses. Cause I'm gonna get some made, and Athen wants one. So if you want one, we gotta get results.
Do this for me, Cameron. You get one more for the bar. I'll get you one for at 1700 somewhere. Jade said that.
Cool. Send me the link to the bar.
Dean says I don't even know how to Discord. Hello?
I'm here. I'm trying to find. She needs to send me the bar. All right. With that, that's our last topic. Ethan, you got anything else to add for the show?
We might have some entertainment stories. I don't know.
You didn't share any.
Let's see what we got in entertainment. I've literally got one entertainment story, and it's about The Sims, which I don't really follow that well or that much.
Yeah.
So
That's it. All right. Ethan, go ahead. Start closing us out.
Okay, hold on. All right, so yeah, this has been It's 1700 Somewhere. Make sure you go ahead and follow us at It's 1700 Somewhere or Ale Train Fighters. You can let's see. You can check us out on Discord. I put a link in the fucking comments right there. Check us out on all other social media, YouTube, Twitter, freaking every type of social media you can think of. We have one. Whether or not we use it, that's a different story. Yeah. Send me a friend request, Athen Daily.
You can send me a friend request as well.
Yep, Cameron Bates. With all that being said, I am Athen.
I'm Cameron, and it's 1700 Somewhere.
And that's where I'm supposed to end it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's going to take me a little bit to get used to.